With that, it is a little after 12 on January 14th. We're halfway through this month already. Hi, I'm Lori Yoakum. I'm the director here at Wilson Public Library, and today I am joined by Linda Shaw and members of CASA, Dawson County, Gosper County CASA. Correct. Some of you have been here before. I'm so glad that you're all back because I think what you do is important. And there's a reason that you're here, I know, and that is to get specifically people in Cozad to help you out. Linda, can you just go ahead and start and tell us a little bit about what CASA is and what you do and how people here can help?
Okay. Thank you for having us, first of all. And Dawson, Gosper County CASA, we are celebrating 25 years. And so we've been here a little bit now.
Congratulations.
So must be doing something right. And Christina Millsap was the one that started the program in Dawson County, amongst other counties. But I'm just going to say Dawson because that's the one I'm on. And she's still very valuable to us. And she is the state trainer, and she'll tell a little bit about that in a little bit. So and I just did the stats for the last year of 2025, and I want to share those with you. We served 113 children last year.
For both counties?
Well, all Dawson.
All Dawson?
We have not had a Gosper County case for, I don't even know when we've had the last one. Okay. It's been quite
Do you have it broken down into cities within how many?
We do not, but I can tell you Cozad has the most entries. Okay. And so that's why we need people from Cozad, because it's really nice to have a volunteer in the town where the person is, where the children are either fostered or where the children lived or whatever, because that's really nice, because any more foster homes are really far and few between, and we have to travel quite a bit. Like we have kids in Omaha, Lincoln, and our team does a great job of doing.
So they're Dawson County kids, but they're located
Correct.
in those different cities.
Correct, because there's not enough foster homes in this area. Wow. And then some of them have special needs that they need that we don't offer in this area. Okay. So it's not all that. But when we were referred 41 new cases last year, and that would bring us up to 72 when we had that, because we started out with 53. And then 16 children were adopted, 22 reunified, 6 guardianships, and then we had 26 active volunteers. So some of these 26 active volunteers have more than one case, as you can
do the math.
Tell by do the math. And the ones that we have had accumulated 1,078 hours. And that is going out, visiting their people, coming to court, doing everything they do, which is amazing. And they traveled 10,033 miles.
So this is all volunteer?
All volunteer, yes. So, and we do serve our kids 100%, and we're very proud of that. The CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. They have to take 30 hours of training, and then they have to keep up their training 12 hours every year that they stay on. And our people do a great job of that. You may think 30 hours is really, oh, wow. But we have a lot of fun, as Oscar will tell you. And we have a lot of fun, and it goes really fast. And you don't have to listen to me all the time. You get the professionals that come in, and they talk. And they tell them, and so that way they become familiar with the faces that they're going to be working with.
Okay. That's a lot right there.
That's a lot. So I'm gonna.
Well, let's start with Jim.
Okay.
Yes, my name is Jim Hudson, and I've been involved with CASA for 14 years. I was active as a volunteer until COVID hit. And had some health problems and couldn't. Anyway, I also serve on the board of directors and have taken the instruction for training new volunteers. I have kind of the unique situation that CASA, for the first time in our history, is heading into some financial troubles. One of our major sources of income is VOCA grants. And VOCA grants are grants that come from the Federal Crime Commission. And we apply for them on I believe, a 2-year basis. Is that correct?
That varies, but yes.
Anyway, the VOCA grants are up in the air. We've lost funding. And recently I read that the Crime Commission has been decimated. And so consequently, the odds of us continue to receiving the funding they get. I think it's about, what, a third or better of our funding or more?
It's more.
More
Yeah,
than that.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we're headed into a financial situation that we haven't experienced before. So we're going out and we're doing these presentations to various groups, banks, etc., and soliciting funds. One of the less touchy-feely things that I point out to people, that if we did not have CASA volunteers, we would have to have many more guardian ad litems who are attorneys. First of all, we don't have enough attorneys to supply that need. Secondly, attorneys are paid for their services, and rightfully so. And we still have quite a few guardian ad litems for the children, the parents, biological parents, etc. So if we took the number of hours that we have served so far this year free of charge, and took that times a fee that is considerably less than what attorneys charge, that would probably amount to about $56,000 so far this year.
Jim, is CASA a nonprofit?
Yes, we are.
A nonprofit,
Yeah.
okay.
And then if I take the number of miles that volunteers have driven and don't charge for their mileage, that would probably be about another $5,000 so far this year. So we're looking at a total sum of about $61,000 that we have saved Dawson County. And Dawson County has been incredibly generous to us, the commissioners, so on and so forth. We're one of the few CASA organizations that gets free offices, free office machines. Linda and other employees are allowed to participate in their health insurance, which we pay, but we pay at a less rate because it is a group. So incredible support, and we're extremely appreciative of what they do for us. But we are potentially headed into a bit of a financial crisis that we're going to have to somehow come up with the funds to keep the program running. And I think Christina and Linda will both tell you, we're the only CASA organization in the state that serves 100% of the children that are adjudicated through county court, which is amazing.
Yeah, so do you know what the number of kids served in Dawson County is relative to the rest of the state? Is it higher? Is it lower?
Well, I think the ones with the bigger population, you're going to have more, but you have a lot of kids on the waiting list there. Now, for instance, we help other counties close to us, like Buffalo County. They do not have enough to cover their people. So if we have a case that transfers to Buffalo County, our CASAs want to stay on it because they don't want them to go through the cracks. We have stayed on cases that have went to Omaha and Lincoln, just because they don't have enough there, and nothing against them. It's just that their load is a lot more. And we've also helped in Lincoln County.
Okay. Which, for people who don't know, is North Platte.
It's North Platte, yes.
Awesome. Christina.
What questions do you have for me?
I guess, what can you add? Jim gave us a lot of information. I'm still processing that. I'm sure that Jim said that the last time, but boy.
She said she gave a lot of information.
I guess what I can add to what Jim and Linda has stated is that one thing, so we have 22 CASA programs across the state of Nebraska. So I work for Nebraska CASA Association. My name is Christina Millsap. And so I get to see a lot of different programs across the state. And one thing that I see in Dawson and Gosper County CASA, run by Linda and her boards and her volunteers, is that they're the only counties in the state that are serving 100%. And what stands out in this program is the help that they get, the training, and also the help that they get from Linda and the board really helps with volunteer retention, and really helps with them serving 100%. Is that they train the volunteers well. They once they train them, they also support them. A lot. They invest a lot of time in supporting their volunteers, and so I think that that's what has helped this local program. Is just that, if you're afraid, if anybody in Cozad's afraid of volunteering, don't be, because there's a lot of support. I know Linda has a mentoring program where if they appoint a case to a child, and if you're new, if you're just getting right off training, Linda can pair you up with a seasoned volunteer. And that really helps with volunteer retention when there's two advocates serving a child. And so I think that that's really, remarkable, the amount of support that the volunteers get from this program.
So, if I heard wrong, let me know, but you serve at the state level?
I do.
Okay. And then I also think I heard that you started Dawson County Gosper.
I did.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me, where's your interest? What spurred you to help?
So, I started back in 2000, so I've been doing CASA for 26 years.
You started as a volunteer?
No,
started as
executive
a
director.
Okay.
As an executive director. And so when I started, what keeps me going is just the circumstance that the kids are in really pulls on my heart. And what I see is that people coming in and out of the children's life. It's rare that you're going to see somebody stay with a child until they find permanency. And so for me, if I'm going to be training and telling the staff and telling volunteers that it is hard for you to come in and out in the children's life, it's like you want to stick with the child until the child reaches permanency, how important that is with building rapport, building trust with the child. So if I'm going to coach that, I'm gonna do that to help the CASA staff, to help everybody around me, everybody that I train. Is the importance of sticking with this program, the importance of that, because it does help with relationships, and it really helps the child in the long run.
Okay, so for people who are not well versed in lawyerese, we know that CASA is court appointed special advocate, but what does that mean? Who are these kids? Why do you need to help them?
Yeah. So who are these volunteers?
Well, I know the volunteers, and we'll get to that more with Oscar. But who are these kids? Where do they come from? Why do they need volunteers?
They need volunteers because they're in the system, the juvenile court system, and no fault of their own. Okay. Right. So they might have been removed from a caregiver because there's a safety concern. There's risk. There's a situation where the child's been put at risk. So they need to be placed, and the court needs to oversee their safety. And so an advocate comes in. The judge will appoint an advocate until permanency is achieved and the child is safe. We'll always look at our number one interest is the child's best interest. What is the child's best interest? And are they going to be safe? And if they're not, let's tell everyone involved what they see, what they hear, so that the people, like the attorneys, the judges, can make decisions on their best interests.
So then we go back to Linda. So these kids, their permanency might be going back with her family.
We call that reunification.
Reunification might be adoption, might be guardianship.
Is there one I'm missing?
Well, they also have independent living.
Okay.
So if
Depending
you-
on their age.
Yeah, if you have an older child, and they can start that around 16, 15, training them to live on their own. And they get stipends, and there's programs that help them now. There wasn't when I first started, but now there is. And that's a good program too.
Okay, perfect. I'm just trying to ask some of these questions for the people out there who are like, what is this? Kind of like I was the first time you came. What is this? Who are these people that you help? Christina, do you have anything to add as far as what you would tell people who are thinking of volunteering or not thinking of it and they should be thinking of it?
If you're thinking of being a volunteer, contact Linda, contact the Dawson Gosper County CASA program, because that is the first step in getting you involved in the Dawson Gosper County CASA program. If you have not heard about CASA, call Linda, call the Dawson Gosper County CASA, because she can really tell you, she can answer all your questions that you have. If there's reservations, Linda can tell you how we can help you understand whatever your reservation is for volunteering.
And you do have a Facebook page.
Yes.
Under Dawson/Gosper County
Yes.
CASA.
Yes.
I
Yes,
believe.
we do.
So that's another way.
Yes.
If you don't want to take that step to pick up the phone, you can just kind of troll. Thank you, Lisa. You are new.
Well,
We're here.
yes, yeah,
Welcome.
I wish I were new, but yes, so my name's Lisa Jorgensen. I'm an attorney in Gothenburg. And I've been practicing in juvenile court for, I think, 15 years. So I'm not affiliated with CASA. I do work with CASA a lot. And you were talking about, the children and why they need a CASA. So just to kind of back up, because we don't have a department
Of Health and Human
DHHS
Services.
person here today yet. So once a call has been made to the hotline or something has been reported and the police investigate and a determination's been made that the child needs to be removed from the home for safety reasons, then the county attorney brings a petition in court that's filed in court, and the court appoints attorneys at that point. Appoints attorneys for the parents, and I do that as well. I serve as a parent attorney. Appoints an attorney for the child, and that's called the guardian ad litem, which is what Linda was mentioning before, and Jim. And so the guardian ad litem is the attorney for the child and represents the best interests of the child in court. So the GAL and the CASA work pretty closely together. We're, kind of have the same interests, same goals. I have a pretty big caseload, and by statute, I have to visit the children once every 6 months. I try to do it much more often than that, but I for sure don't visit them monthly, which is what CASA volunteers do. And so I really rely, in my position as GAL, I rely on the CASA volunteers to let me know how the kids are doing. They, a lot of times they'll email me or send me written updates from their visits, just their impressions and how the child is doing. A lot of times I don't have the time to contact the schools or really be in contact with teachers, and children spend a good part of their day at the schools. And so a lot of good information comes from there. And so CASA volunteers will fill me in on that. And that way not only keeps me up to date, but kind of flags any issues or anything that I need to follow up on. So that's kind of, I guess, my interaction with CASAs in the capacity as an attorney. I was also I'm a foster adoptive parent as well. So I have the unique situation of having had CASAs involved with the children I had in my home. And so sometimes, CASAs can assist foster children in helping find resources. Let's say that they're in need of something, whether that's clothing or outerwear or sports gear, or they want to go, they want to participate in some sort of activity that has a fee or go to camp, etc. CASA volunteers can help access the resources or point towards resources to assist with that. We didn't really need our CASAs for that. I would say as a foster parent, what CASAs, what I really relied on CASAs for was just the general support, and then just checking in, how are the kids doing, just kind of being a good member of the team. So
So what would you say, Lisa, as far as if you were talking to somebody who was kind of interested and, I don't want to say rope them in, but how would you?
Persuade?
Yeah.
It is a very worthwhile organization and a very worthwhile thing to be doing with your time. It does take time, so you want to make sure you have that time available, but it does make a big difference in the life of a child, and
I would assume it's very rewarding,
very rewarding.
especially to see that child have a permanent place in the end.
Yes, what's so amazing to me is when families come in to us, they're pretty beat down, but we've got such great resources, and we can give those resources, and we can make a family. Well, we don't, but they decide to take advantage of those, and they can make a healthy family, and the kids can go home again. And we see that time and time again. When they come in looking at the floor, they can't even look you in the face, but boy, when they get ready to go and their cases are dismissed, it's a day to celebrate.
Susan.
My name is Susan Watt, and I live now in Gothenburg, but previously in my former life, I was a teacher, and I guess you need to know this about me, is that I taught middle school. And so to teach middle school, you have to be a little crazy and have a lot of patience. And it turns out that I have both. And so the school that I taught at had a residence program for foster kids. Right now, judges usually try to find a home, a foster home, but at that time, they did have residential facilities. And I think actually they were mostly older kids, junior high and up. And the facility did a wonderful job and worked very closely with the school, which helped because the kids that we had come in, I mean, we found out the day before we were gonna have a new student. And so we had to go find another desk. And of course, they may or may not have been to school recently. And they always come in traumatized, like multiple traumatized, because first of all, there's trauma in the home. They may have been abused for some time. Through no fault of their own, they're now thrown into the foster care system. And so then there's another trauma of being removed from your home and put with possibly not strangers. They try to put someone with a relative or some kind of, neighbor or somebody that they know, but they don't know them sometimes they don't know them that well.
Sure.
And also sometimes the first foster home turns out to be not a good fit, and they might go to another foster home, and some kids go through several foster homes and possibly even different health and human service workers, but the one constant thing in their life is the CASA, who stays with them through all the foster homes and all the situations. And I didn't realize how important that was until a child showed me that, it's important to show up. So many of these kids come in and they're traumatized because there's trauma at home, and then they were taken out of their home, just removed and put somewhere, and then they're put in a foster care situation, and they're scared. These kids that came into the facility were scared. Some of them were terrified. Most of them were mad. All of them were upset in some way, and they did not want to be there. And they really were not in a good place to go to school and learn, because they were all, their emotions were just too strong. So you had to give them some time. And sometimes it took a lot of time. I asked the director of the school one time if I could ask them why they were there. And he said, only if you're prepared to hear the answer. And that was hard, but I lots of times I did is I established a relationship, asked them. And I had one particular girl who came in, and she was, she gave me nothing. I mean, she wanted to be head down, hoodie over her head. And the bare minimum requirement I had in my classroom is that you had to be sitting up so I could make eye contact.
Sure.
She didn't have to be looking at me, but I had to be able to make eye contact with her. So I said, can you do that? You know, and I need to help you. And she could do that. She gave me nothing. She did not answer any questions. She did her homework, but she was in no discussions. If I called on her, I usually just got a shrug. And that was it. And this went on for a while. And then one day I was passing out, returning some papers, and I walked just by her and I just laid her paper on her desk. And as I did that, she said, I like your bracelet. So that was the start, you know, and I said, thanks, and just kept moving on. And she gradually came to tell me her story and why she was there. And I didn't blame her for being angry. She had been, you know, in a bad situation, none of which was her fault. I had a boy, you know, they always want reunification, and that's because of Nebraska law. But a lot of times that is not in the child's best interest. And I have petitioned against having kids returned or returned too soon. Sometimes I felt like I was the only one that, no, not ready. Don't do this. But the laws in Nebraska do not really work for the child, would you say?
Yeah. They're supposed to.
They're supposed to,
That
but in
is
our
the goal.
experience,
Yeah.
it doesn't always work like that as well. And I had a boy tell me that when they go to court, that was also a really big deal. They had to let us know ahead of time they were going to be gone out of class and go to court. And that was such a big deal. They were so excited to go to court because they were going to find out their fate. Are they staying there? Are they going somewhere else? Are they going home? And going home was a mixed bag because some kids really wanted to go home. I had one boy tell me, I can't go home. I hope I get a foster family because if I go home, they'll kill me. Now, this is a junior high student telling me this while you're trying to pick out a library book. You know, it's like it's pretty dark stuff sometimes. And then I had another girl who came from a bigger city. And she was really worried about going home. She wanted to go home, but she goes, I won't have any friends. She had been in with a bad crowd and gotten into trouble, and her parents didn't know, you know, they weren't helping her. So she was removed from the home. And the parents were getting some training and trying to learn more about how to be a parent to this child while she was in foster care. But she said, if I go home, I can't go back to my old friends, or I'll get in trouble again. And I already have a reputation. Nobody else is going to have anything to do with me. So when I go home, I won't have any friends. So the court is a big deal. And it's just, they have so much trauma and they need someone to walk with them and just listen to them or just be there for them. So that's why I came across it.
Oh, wow. You have lots of great insight there. How long have you been working for CASA?
4 years.
4 years. Mm-hmm. And how many children have you helped?
It says here I have helped 19 children with 12 families.
And do you currently have children that you're working with?
I currently have 5 cases.
5 cases.
But one is moving toward adoption.
So how would people volunteering help you?
Well, 5 cases is a lot. Even for someone who loves doing it and feels very rewarded, it's still a lot. And I think that, you know, it would lighten the load.
Sure.
a lot.
What are the personality traits that would make a good volunteer?
I think, well, being crazy and patient. Yes. And also just a love of children, because that's what we do, is we just always put the child first. We don't care what the parents need or what does the child need for stability. So,
And my thought would be too, that you really want people who want to do this. You don't want people
Right.
necessarily that are just gonna halfway do things.
it's hard to halfway do it. It would be hard.
Oscar, you've been here before.
I have.
I'm
Thank
so
you
glad-
for welcoming
I'm so
back.
glad you're back.
Yeah. So my name is Oscar Kulunga.
I'm trying to remember, are you the one who had a very kind of interesting story about how you became a volunteer?
Well, it was more from a coworker who asked me to,
There we go.
yeah, to ask me to join because she saw that I do like to do community service. I do like to work with the community, and she thought that maybe doing volunteering for CASA was something that I would enjoy working with children. I thought about it. I kind of put it off a little bit, and then later on, she came back and told me and asked me again if I want to do it, and so I filled out the application, and 30 hours of training, which Linda is very flexible on. It doesn't matter if you want to do it on a Thursday at 5 to 7, she will be there. She's there. If you want to do it on a Saturday, 9 to 1, all right, let's do it Saturday 9 to 1. So the training is very flexible. 30 hours went by pretty quickly. I mean, it was on some serious topics, but it was always ended lighthearted. And we were playing games. We got to know each other. And the one thing that really did stick with me was not just the brain game, which I'm terrible at, but this piece of training that kind of stuck with me was we were gonna do a visit, and we were gonna interview a child at that visit, and we were thinking about just getting into investigator mode. Okay, now I'm gonna draw all these answers from you. What makes you tick? What makes you do the things that you do or say the things that you say? But in all reality, that training was ask the child, how are you today? What did you get to do today? Did you get to play with this, or have you seen this movie, or have you seen just trying to relate to them,
Make that connection.
because you got a whole bunch of other people that are asking, okay, if whatever situation, whatever trauma they're going through, they're going to ask them those hard questions, those deep questions that get in there, and sometimes they just don't want to talk that way. They just want to. They want to talk about, video games or sports or, nails and hair, just this.
They want to be normal.
They want to be normal because they're in a unnormal situation, a not normal situation for them. And it's understandable. And that's what was our training. That was this be able to relate to your child. And then after that, 30 hours flew by. As soon as we graduated, we were going to get our certificate by the judge. He was going to sign it, and then Linda just comes in and boom, here's your first case. Judge, can you go ahead and sign this one too? And so as soon as I became a volunteer,
Let's get at that.
as soon as I got my first case, I read it, I went through it, and yes, it's very hard hitting stuff. It's traumatic. It's traumatic.
Can you walk our viewers through what happens when you get that case?
So when you get that case, Linda is right there kind of helping you out. What are your first steps? Well, my first steps was to make contact. Was my first meeting with my first case was the HHS was going to do a home visit. And then, okay, you know what? Let me go with the HHS, and then I'll be able to kind of break the ice with the boys while the HHS agent is talking to the foster mom or the parent or whoever it is, to the adults, and then I can just kind of get to know the kids in that situation, and that happened, and it was we met, we went inside, I got to meet the kids. And I thought it was going to be an awkward, visit. They don't know me, but they understand. They don't understand why I'm there. But I thought it was going to be a silent meeting, and it turned out the first thing that they asked me was, "Do you know how to play Fortnite? And do you know how to add V-Bucks to our Fortnite accounts?" And
you did.
Well, yeah. Well, I had an idea, but then that's how it just started off. One was very social, very wanting to know me, and he wanted me to know them. And so the other kid was more quiet and reserved, but he was still there. He wanted to know more about me. And then after 15 minutes, it was, let's go see my room. You go see this, my poster of Lionel Messi. Here's the bunk bed where I sleep. Here are my toys. And it just went from there. From a 15-minute awkward meeting that I thought was gonna take place turned into a 45-minute meeting where I got to be close with the kids.
Okay. So that's first step.
That's the first step. And then afterwards, you gotta do your monthly visits, okay? And you can, if you have a court order in a folder that Linda gives you with your case, that you can go visit the teachers at school. And like Lisa was saying, that the teachers do see the kids a lot more, you know, and they will be the source of knowledge of how that kid acts, interacts, and who interacts with those kids. So they would be the people to ask those questions to see how they're doing. You know, you can ask those questions, but you cannot respond to the teachers asking you questions because of that court order and confidentiality. So you got to be the sponge, as Linda says. You got to be the sponge. You absorb all that information, but you got to make sure that, you know, confidentiality, you do not say anything. Okay, so you meet with the teachers to see how they are. You get the grades to make sure that they are doing well in school, or if they're not, then kind of you have an idea of for your next visit. Hey, how are you doing in social studies? You're not doing very well in social studies. What's going on? And you can relate to them on that. Maybe help them out with some homework. If they're going to counseling, you also do it. You are able to talk to their counselor and see how they're doing. And be able to go to team meetings. You know, there's team meetings that involve everybody that's in, from the guardian ad litem to the lawyers that are for mom and dad's side, the DHHS, anybody from family support, or the CASAs. So they're all going to be there. They're all going to be working towards resolution to being able to either reunification, or if there's something else that would be for the child that would suit the child's needs. And I'm always representing the child, so I got to make sure that what the child needs is in their best interest.
Okay. You said a lot.
I always do.
And you do a great job. Okay, so please don't take this the wrong way. I just noticed that you're younger than the rest of the table.
Yes.
Can people with a full-time job do this as a volunteer?
Yes, I am a 36-year-old male with a 40-hour work week, and it can be sometimes a little more depending on what I have at work. But my employer is very flexible, and especially that employer sees community building, positive community building, as a need for some of their employees. So we need volunteers that are male, and we need volunteers that work 40-hour weeks too, to show that it is possible to do this.
There's Myra over there. See, you guys really do look alike.
She thought I was her.
I'm also going to say that I have trifocals. So.
Myra, welcome.
Hi.
I hear that you're still involved
Yes.
as a CASA volunteer.
Yes.
So you two are also now working outside the CASA office, but you're a volunteer. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, so I started at CASA with Miss Linda. She recruited me, and that was it was God sent for sure. I needed something. I needed a job, and Miss Linda said, "Well, you still gotta apply and you gotta go through the hoops." So when I started, I realized there was a lot more to what I needed. It wasn't really helping Miss Linda. It was really helping the volunteers, working directly with the trainees, doing a lot more with CASA and the program, and the board members as well. So, I mean, not only were you wanting to work with children, but you're working with all different parties in this. And truthfully, at first it can be a little overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. But once you get rapport and establish those relationships with everyone, everyone's really welcoming. And you realize it's for a really great cause. Now I am also still part of CASA, helping out as a volunteer. I'm on a different case now, but I still want to see the stories go through and figure out what happened during court. We're still working directly with all the information as well. And I also have a full-time job and a part-time job, and I still do CASA. So
It's possible.
it is possible. You just need to have the will and the want, and
And a
You don't
pretty
have
big
to-
heart, it sounds like. You
Yes.
have to have a pretty big heart.
yes, absolutely.
And you kind of have to have a tough heart too.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking to myself that these stories can't be easy.
You have to have good boundaries. You have to know, yeah.
And you have to remember, it's not you that's going through this, it's the child.
Right.
And you're there, on their behalf, advocating for their best interest. If you go with that mindset, it's like it's really easy, like what she's talking about, to build those boundaries and to keep going for that child.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that all of you have come back. Linda, can you tell me a little bit about the need for Cozad volunteers?
Well, we have very few here in Cozad, and with this being the place that we are getting most of the intakes out of Cozad, it would be nice to have some support from the town. We would, if there's any organizations that would like us to come and talk, I've got great people, as you see, to come, and they are more than willing to come. And, like Lisa, being an attorney, I really appreciate her taking her time because she is busy. And, everybody that comes, and everybody's got a story. The volunteers are so dedicated. We are so blessed with and I know Myra will attest to that too, because these people go above and beyond, and it's because they want to, not because we have to beg them.
Yeah. Now, you all have been pretty much talking about in-kind, healthy volunteering, the personal part, but Jim made mention that financially, you have run into some issues, or you're going to be running into some issues.
Mhm.
How can people help financially?
Yeah, if you don't have time to be a volunteer, you can help our program by donating, financially to us. And like I said, like Jim indicated, we have been going out doing presentations. We've been to a couple banks in Gothenburg. And, once again, like you said, you had no idea what CASA does and everything. And so we opened a lot of eyes and it was beneficial to do that. And so we'd love to do presentations here to tell you more about what CASA does, because it's very important. This is our future, these kids, and we need to be there for them.
Yeah, do you work at all with, and I could just be very wrong on everything, but like United Way?
Yes.
I know Lexington has, United Way, Cozad has its own offshoot as
Yes.
charitable.
Cozad's very supportive in that area. They have always been very supportive to us here through that charitable
fund.
Charitable fund.
Yeah, I always have to stop and think, like,
I
okay, it's
know.
not United Way anymore.
And Pam works really, really well with us. And we try to help them out when they have their little deals, and we have a good time with their trivia night. And so.
Well, that was my next question is, do you have fundraisers that you do? Do you have upcoming fundraisers?
When we have Give Big, we have a bake sale at the courthouse, and it is huge. And that is a big one. And the whole community pitches in. I mean, we got people from everywhere bringing items, and people from everywhere coming in to buy. And so that's a very good one. And then we've also, in the last couple of years, started doing a Christmas tea on the first Saturday in December. And that is held at the Lexington Museum. And that's been a nice thing to do, and we hope to build on that. That's kind of a new thing for us, so we're learning as we go. But that's two things that we've done. And then with going out and doing presentations, we usually get a donation.
And if they wanted to send you a donation, what's the easiest way? Go to the Give Big Lexington website or contact you directly?
They can do either. They could do either, because the big, they'll hold it.
They
or
get
whatever.
big.
Yeah.
And so are you on all of the different towns and Dawson counties Give Big, or are you just in the Give Big Lexington?
We are in Lexington, Cozad, Overton, and Elwood. So Elwood would be Gosper. Gothenburg, really, I don't know about Gothenburg, what they're doing. They did have a break off from United Way, and then that has dissolved. So,
But we're on the Get Big website.
but we do not go to Gothenburg, but we sure would be willing to if, you know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as far as, you know, what Lisa said, it's donations.
Yeah.
Some
Her
people-
office is located at the courthouse.
Yeah.
And so they can drop off a check or
Yeah, if
a
you come
donation
up,
at the courthouse.
come up the elevator to the second floor, I'm right there.
It's with all the butterflies, all the little toys and everything.
Yeah.
Do not sit on the
I say,
chairs.
I
Do
don't
not sit on the
I've been to
chairs.
the second floor.
It is the
Yes,
breath of fresh air in the courthouse.
yes, it is. It is. Just don't sit on the chairs. Those are for kids.
But I'm small enough, I can play.
Those are for kids.
What have I not asked that you would still like to talk about?
It's a good question.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think that we like from the aspect of going on the cases, it does involve a lot of deep talk, a lot of traumatic issues. But on the other side, there is that time where that child, when you're doing the visits, you are kind of their breath of fresh air. You know, we would sit and play some video games. You know, we would play soccer. We would play, you know, different like make believe, play with Legos, play with their toys. I have a case where I have a teenage girl, and they started talking about nails and hair, and so I had to figure out how to maneuver in
Did you get your
that
fingernails
subject.
painted?
I had not yet. Not yet, but I mean, that's on the table. I mean, it's for practice wise, but we're the breath of fresh air in a time where they're going through a lot of uncertain times and some hard situations where they are away from their home, they're away from their families, and when we get to be with them for that visit, forever, however long that is, they can just not think about any of that stuff.
Is there a specific time frame where you do visits? You know, we just talked about working full time.
Yeah, and it's also what works for also the parents or the foster parents or the adults that are in that household. What works for them, especially in school too, because if there are kids in school, then you don't want to do a visit during that time. But it's usually in the afternoon. I work well with the parents to make sure that that they're free and that make sure that the kids don't have anything in that schedule. So that way it would be uninterrupted, and it's also we have some time. But every case that I've been on, they've been very, very cooperative. They've welcomed me into the home, and they know that if a CASA volunteer shows up, that they're going to help you out.
You also said that you played soccer. That's not a prerequisite.
It is
Like, you
not,
don't have to be
It is
necessarily in shape
not.
because
to volunteer.
I would not make the soccer team.
But is there an age limit?
No.
That you have to be so old to become a volunteer? No.
Over 21.
21 to take a
Yes.
case,
Yeah.
21 to take a case. The one thing that I'd like to say about Oscar is that he has built such a relationship with the one case that he's got, that the caseworker calls and says, can you have Oscar ask the kids this? Because they don't want to talk to me. They just want to talk to Oscar. And that's been really good. And he'll call me and say, I'm on my way to Minden to visit the kids. I'm on my way to, So, and now these kids have been transferred down Eastern further. So, but he will be there for them. And so that's what we need, And if it's people that can't travel that far, we can get somebody from that program possibly to go in and just check on them. So that works too. And then my buddy system that I have is really good. And like, I think they touched on that. And that, it just makes you feel more comfortable. And you can do a buddy case as long as you want. I don't care. You don't have to step out there if you don't feel comfortable. And I think Susan's on a few of those, which her 5 cases, but she does have some. She does have a buddy on a few of them.
I think you said this, Linda, but please refresh me. How many volunteers do you currently have right now?
Currently 22.
And how many would be ideal?
I'd like to
Right
have
now.
about 6 more right now. It's always nice to have new blood coming in because then you get new ideas. My goal was to have a younger board. And of course, I love Jim there because he's the master of wisdom. But our board is younger, Oscar's age. I've got my board's pretty much that. And I do have Teresa Snyder, who is a retired teacher, but now went back to work. But that's why she couldn't be here today. But that was my goal because they can get out and do. And they have been a great relief to me. And when Myra's there, it's just great to have that age group because, they know stuff, they hear the new lingo and all that stuff. And it's just been really, that was my goal. And I'm happy for that.
It's been 6, 7 so far.
I'm glad we don't have any kids here, right?
That's right.
Well, thank you all so much for coming again today. Like I said, I think you do great work, and I know volunteers are needed.
And they're out there.
They're out there.
We're going to leave some items here with you.
Okay.
And so if they're too shy to call or whatever, if they want to kind of grab one of these, and then we are also going to leave the 10.
Yes.
12.
12.
The 12 CASA volunteer requirements.
That's great. So just as a reminder, I'm not sure I'll get this up today, but probably tomorrow on the library's Facebook page, and you are welcome to share that as needed so it can hopefully help get the word out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Let
much.
me go ahead and end this.